policies. I'm Erica McAlpin, an instructor at OSU Cascades and the director of the DEI Laboratory. I am a third-party moderator that was asked to facilitate this important dialogue. As a member of this community, I'm fully aware of the importance of this topic and care deeply about the outcomes that will happen as a result of today. I applaud our city leaders for creating this space, and I applaud all of you for being here with us today. For this event, I'm asking that you raise your hand per the directions in the slides. I will call on you, and you will have exactly 3 minutes to comment. Please keep an eye on the timer. I will have to remind you that your time is up if you go over time. This is not a time when questions can be answered, but if you have them, please ask and they will be noted. The goal of this event is to record community thoughts and perspectives for the purposes of providing that information to our city leaders in a report in December. You will be able to see your comments being recorded in real time. If something is captured in a way that you do not intend, please stop and let us know so that we can accurately record your thoughts. We are also recording today's session to make sure your thoughts are captured. In addition, there is someone else behind the scenes notating the common themes that arise in today's conversation. Please be mindful that interpreters are interpreting for our Spanish-speaking community members, so please speak slowly. I want to remind everyone that this is an important opportunity to provide public input. It is not a time to insult others, level personal attacks or threats, disrupt the meeting, or in any way discourage anyone else from participating. People are free to disagree with each other on issues, but we must do so respectfully. We ask and expect everyone to abide by these rules. We'd also like to remind you that in this Zoom environment, technical difficulties might occur, or we might need to take a break. Please allow us some grace if that should happen. Now, I'll remind you of the 4 questions that we would like for you to comment on today. So, there was already a survey that was completed by community members, and from that survey, these issues rose to the top. So we'd like for you to comment on these 4 questions. We've heard that people want accountability and or transparency from the police. What does that mean to you, and how should that happen? People want to see a police presence in the community. What does that mean or look like? We heard that transient, homeless issues and mental health issues are big concerns in Bend. What is the role of local police in addressing these issues? What are your expectations of City Council involvement in policing issues? Again, what are your expectations of City Council as it relates to policing issues or policies? So now we will start to take questions from our attendees in the order that their hands were raised, at least that I can see that your hands were raised. First up, we have Michael Funky. And give me just a second to get you. This is the first of the technical difficulties. Okay. Michael Funky.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it. My comment's gonna be largely focused on number one. I know that Eric King, the city manager, and Chief of Police Mike Krantz are talking about revising the Citizens Advisory Board that we have here in Bend, a police advisory board that I would suggest that 99% of the people in this community don't actually know exists. That Citizen Advisory Board, as it's established right now, is not an opportunity for people to express complaints. It's pretty much, as I understand it from a member of that committee who I know, is pretty much led by the chief of police. I would suggest that we need to have a whole different approach to that here in this community. What I think that we need is an all new approach, a community police review board with oversight powers and responsibilities, a board that reflects the full diversity of our community, and that provides all residents the opportunity to, if necessary, file complaints about police behavior. Board members, I believe, should have investigatory and review authority beyond any internal affairs investigations that the police department itself might do, and that the board members should even have the power to command the police chief and other officers by subpoena if necessary to testify when complaints are made. Independent investigatory authority is essential, in my opinion, if we are going to have transparency, accountability, and legitimate community control over the police department that is supposed to protect and serve all of us. So there are a lot of good models that are out there in communities and cities around the country. This is not, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. I would be more than happy to supply the city manager and the police chief, any links and any additional information about what a strong oversight board could be here in our community. And I think that without that, we're really not going to be able to do much of anything else in terms of trying to do what I think we need is community control. So I see I got a minute and a half left. I got nothing more to say. I'm good with that.
Okay, thank you so much for your comment.
So how do I unmute?
You will not, we'll take care of that on our end.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you so much. So the next person that has their hand raised is Caleb Campbell. Caleb? I don't see that Caleb is here.
Unmute. Oh, I'm here.
Okay,
Sorry.
great.
I didn't hit the unmute button when I started talking.
Okay. Caleb, let me remind you that we are doing interpretation, so please speak slower than you might normally would.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Erica, and thank
Sure.
you everybody who's listening. It's weird to be floating around in a computer like this and not see who I'm talking to. I want to address the second two questions. Community policing is not a new concept, and it's about time that Bend got on board. 31 years ago, the city of Eugene developed an innovative community-based public safety system to provide mental health first response for crises involving mental illness, homelessness, and addiction. Whitebird Clinic launched CAHOOTS, which stands for Crisis Assistance Helping Out in the Streets, as a community policing initiative in 1989. The program mobilizes two-person teams consisting of a medic, a nurse, paramedic, or EMT, and a crisis worker who has substantial training and experience in the mental health field. The CAHOOTS teams deal with a wide range of mental health-related crises, including conflict resolution, welfare checks, substance abuse, suicide threats, and more, relying on trauma-informed de-escalation and harm reduction techniques. CAHOOTS staff are not law enforcement officers and do not carry weapons. Their training and experience are the tools they use to ensure a non-violent resolution of crises situations. They also handle non-emergent medical issues, avoiding costly ambulance transport and emergency room treatment. A November 2016 study published in the American Journal of Preventative Medicine estimated that 20 to 50% of fatal encounters with law enforcement involved an individual with mental illness. The CAHOOTS model demonstrates that these fatal encounters are not inevitable. Last year, out of roughly 24,000 CAHOOTS calls, police backup was requested only 150 times, less than 1%. The savings are considerable. The CAHOOTS program is about $2.1 million annually, while the combined annual budgets for the Eugene and Springfield police departments are $90 million. In 2017, the CAHOOTS team answered 17% of Eugene Police Department's overall call volume. And in a 2020 interview on NPR, Ben Brubaker, a clinic coordinator, states that CAHOOTS now responds to over 20% of calls. The program saved the city of Eugene an estimated $8.5 million in public safety spending annually. That number is figured using information from the Eugene Police Department website, where they quote the cost of a single police response at $800. Community policing is ripe for Bend. It's about time we do it, and there's already a model in Oregon that shows that it works. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb, for your comment. I'll wait for the time to run down. All right. Our next speaker is Carl Schumacher.
Hello, I'm Carl Schumacher. I'm going to talk about a specific incident that happened to me, at which I thought I would have to call the Bend Police Department. This young woman, I was in a motel along 3rd Street, and are you hearing me? Because I'm not seeing.
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay. Anyway, she was panicking and bouncing around on the bed. Her boyfriend was trying to calm her down, and we were trying to calm her down. And at one point, she had a knife in her hand and was opening and closing it. And I thought, I pulled out my phone. I was going to call the police, and they convinced me not to call the police. But I thought, well, what would have happened if the police had come? Would an ambulance have come, or how would that have been handled if there weren't a mental health professional to deal with it? So if things like that happen again in the future, like homeless people or nearly homeless people having a crisis, that may be an issue that may need to be thought about, planned for in the future. And that's all I had to say about that. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shoemaker, for your comment. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment at this time? Okay, I see Ron would like to make a comment.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to speak to something actually personally that happened to me at Bend. November 25th of 2019, I was actually arrested by the Bend police outside of 10 Barrel on the east side. I walked in there with 2 Hispanic gentlemen. Actually, I wrote a whole website. It's called 10barrelhatestrumpsupporters.info. If anybody wants to see it, it explains everything. So I walk in there. My 9-year-old, he put a Trump sticker on my, on my sweatshirt. So I walk in with 2 Hispanic guys. I just literally had just met them. I pull out a chair to sit down. I bump into someone. This individual who worked there that I bumped into, as I try to turn around and apologize, they explained, they looked at me like I had like 3 heads or something. They just said,
Ron, can you slow down your speaking just for a bit for
"Oh,
our
I'm
interpreters, please?"
yeah, sure. I apologize."
No problem.
And as I tried to turn around and apologize, they looked at me very smugly, and and they said, "Well, excuse me." And so I said, "Well, oops, sorry, I touched your butt or something, right?" So I bumped into this individual. So they go around and they're lying to they work there. So they're going around and they're literally lying to everybody that I groped this individual. Like, this is no joke. This really happened. So I'm sitting there at this table, and as the night progresses, these 2 gentlemen that I had just met, they're a son and a father, and they are coming off strong to the servers. I had nothing to do with this. I'm just sitting there having a beer, and so they were asked to leave, and they kept wanting to come to my house where I have wife and children, and I'm like, no, you're not coming to my house, right? And so, anyways, I'm trying to get away from these guys. And so they leave, and I'm trying to wait to call Lyft because I want to make sure that they leave and they don't follow me home. So I'm sitting at the bar. As I'm sitting at the bar waiting, looking at my phone, trying to give ample time for them to leave so they don't follow me home to where my wife and children are, I get a hand forced in my face by Allison. She's a manager at Tim Barrel, telling me I touched someone inappropriately, lying. They kick me out. There's guys outside. I'm scared. I think I'm going to get jumped because I have a Trump sticker on or something. I'm trying not to leave. They call the police and telling the police all these lies. The police come out. I almost get shot by a guy named Cade Liverman in the back as I'm leaving. The thing is, my issue is there something with the Bend police where they just believe lies? Certain individuals at these microbrews, they're like the Pope with the infallible truth. Like, everything that they say is infallible. That's my issue. Is that, how do you ensure that they just come out and want to slap handcuffs on someone and literally put them in jail immediately? It's crazy. That happened to me. This is real.
Okay. Ron, thank you for sharing your experience with us. We have recorded it and made note of your questions. The next person that we have to comment is Moe Newbold.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I didn't realize that we were supposed to prepare 3-minute speeches. I just came to check out what's going on here. And I don't think, this whole process that's set up kind of seems to make things more complicated than it needs to be. I think in Bend, we just don't want to have people killed or brutalized by the police when with implicit bias or otherwise. And that's what people are asking for, and it shouldn't be contentious. That's my comment.
Okay. Thank you so much for your comment. We have recorded it. Is there anyone else that has a comment at the moment? If so, just raise your hand and I will call on you. Okay. So Darcy is the next person to give a comment as soon as we reset the timer. Okay. Feel free, Darcy.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure, I'm a little confused about the format. Maybe I was about 5 minutes late, so I was hoping maybe, Erica, if you could perhaps repeat kind of how the next few hours are going to be structured, if this is a listening session for the whole period, or
Mhm.
kind of, yeah, I'm just confused. I want to provide comment, but I would like to understand the whole plan better.
Sure. I'm happy to repeat that.
So thank you.
So for this event, we're asking that you raise your hand per the directions that were in the slides that were running initially. I will call on you and you will have exactly 3 minutes to comment. Please keep an eye on the timer. I will have to remind you that your time is up if you go over time. This is not a time when questions can be answered, but if you have them, please ask and they will be noted. The goal of this event for the entire time is to record community thoughts and perspectives for the purposes of providing that information to our city leaders in a report in December. You will be able to see your comments being recorded in real time. If something is captured in a way that you did not intend, please stop and let us know so that we can accurately record your thoughts. We are also recording today's session to make sure your thoughts are captured. In addition, there is someone else behind the scenes notating the common themes that arise in today's conversation. Please be mindful that interpreters are interpreting for our Spanish-speaking community members, so please speak slowly. Does that help, Darcy?
Yes, thank you.
You are so welcome.
Do I have any time left? I can't see the timer now.
Right. We are happy to start your time over.
Okay,
So give me just one moment.
great.
I want to make sure we have that back up on the screen for you. Okay.
Thanks, Erica.
Sure.
So my interest is, I would like to echo Moe's comments and Michael at the beginning. I really appreciate their comments and agree with them. What I would add to it has to do with accountability and ensuring there's third party without any conflict of interest oversight whenever there's any incidents or credible complaints against individual police officers or policies. And the other aspect, aside from accountability, that I'm interested in is communication, and having the Bend Police Department and the city manager and the mayor all committed to full transparency and ample communication with the public, so that information about incidents and policies is very accessible and easy to understand and easy for community members to be fully educated on. And whether that's blog posts, social media, more involvement with articles in the Bend Bulletin, really creative communication solutions so that nobody has to wonder about the way things work or why things happened in a certain way, and how negative incidents can be prevented in the future. For example, I follow local organizers on Instagram, and that's how I get a lot of my news about how people of color in Central Oregon are experiencing life, what they care about, what they're working on, and what support they need from the community. And when I see incidents about law enforcement that they report on, that they've experienced, I want to know that Bend Police is taking that seriously and what they're doing in response. And I don't know how to get that information.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy. We really appreciate your comment. The next hand that I see is Joette Storm. Oh, I'm sorry. Moe Newbold. Moe Newbold is above Joette. Then Joette will be next.
Oh.
So Moe, go ahead.
Sorry, I just felt like the paper that you're writing or whatever it is didn't capture my whole comment. I just wanted to make sure that, oh, thank you. That you captured that I think people don't want the police to use unnecessary force. We don't want to end up with, you know, police violence or murder against anyone unnecessarily, and especially not people of color and Black people and Indigenous people. Thank you for capturing that. And I guess I would just add that in the description of this event, it says, be responsive and accountable to the changing needs and expectation of the community, and increase council awareness and public participation in law enforcement policy. And I don't know that the needs are changing. I just think people felt like the changing of a chief of police was an opportunity for the city council to take a stronger hand in designing the police policies to ensure that the above what I previously said does not happen. But instead what happened was, it feels like, this is what it feels like, that when people asked for the police to not use unnecessary force, to not use tear gas against protesters, and they said that we believe Black Lives Matter, that was treated as though, then those people are the enemy. And even if people are anti-police, the police are the reason it's so contentious is because they have they're the only force that's allowed by the state to use violence against people. So they don't, it's not like it hurts your feelings that people are anti-police. It's like, no, you need to use that power very, very sparingly. Thanks.
Thank you, Moe. So our next comment comes from Joette Storm.
Okay, there's the signal. Good morning.
Good morning, Joette.
The issue that I want to address is fireworks. There are many of us in the neighborhoods and neighborhood association people who have worked on this issue that feel that allowing fireworks at a time of extreme drought is not only dangerous, but reckless. And as I said, we have worked, many of our neighbors have worked on the signage and put signs up and met with police. But somehow the feeling is that the police don't really care enough about this. They push it off on the neighborhoods. We are supposed to turn our neighbors in. And many of us have called, and we will call. It'll happen again on New Year's. 2 or 3 nights before New Year's Eve, you'll start hearing the fireworks and see them go off. I can see them from my window. And then again in the summer, not just the 4th of July, but days before and after. And we need a stronger message from police and fire and the city council that this is reckless behavior.
Okay. Thank you, Joette, for your comment. We have noted it. The next person that we have to speak is Ron.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something regarding Moe's comment. Is that I don't think it's not just necessarily police brutality. It's the idea that I've been in several states. I served in the military. I worked in IT for 20 years. I've been all over, and I've never changed. I've only been treated like this in Ben. It's crazy. Okay, I get the feeling that Ben PD somehow, or it's like they go into a back room before they go on their beats or something, and the chief or whoever it is, whoever their supervisors are, or whatever, are telling them, you got to have so many arrests. I don't know if there's a quota or what, but I've been arrested here. Okay. And it's like they find it so easily to slap handcuffs on people. That's a huge problem. And it's nuts. I'm not a violent person, but to be mistreated like that, to be treated like you're some sort of pariah too. I can't even feed my kids right now because of this arrest back in November. You understand? I'm white, by the way, Moe, and I don't think that this should be a racial issue. I don't like to be thrown in jail either. I am of European descent, so I don't want to turn this into some big race thing. It's a police thing, so let's keep it at that. All right. Yeah, I find that they walk out and they're like, I'm going to arrest people today. It's like that's the first thing in their mind. It's like, we're going to go ahead and toss people in jail, and it's going to be a great day. It's like, does it really have to end out? Does that really have to be the outcome every single time? Is that, I mean, and that's just my take on this. I get the feeling that the Ben PD are just, they got like this desire to see how much liberty they can remove from the citizens in Bend. I mean, it's crazy. Like I said, what happened to me last year based on lies, it's crazy. It's crazy. I have kids. I can't feed them because of this. You Google my name, Ron Ratzlaff. You can even put my last name there. I probably didn't put it. Ron Ratzlaff, Ratzlaff. Because I want everybody to know it. And I have a trial coming up. And the rage that I feel right now at the Ben PD and John Hummel with all this garbage, to speak, like to even talk right now, it's like it's difficult for me because I'm so angry what happened to me. So yeah, I think something has to be done. Something desperately has to be done with the Ben PD, and maybe that's a mindset, it's a culture, it's a subculture. That's one thing I learned in sociology in my undergraduate studies. It's a subculture. It's this idea that it's us versus them type mentality. That's got to change. I'm not a bad guy, but to be treated like that was horrible. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Okay, our next comment comes from Carl Schumacher.
Hi, I'm Carl Schumacher. I've never encountered anything but professional behavior from the Bend City Police Department, and I just wanted to put that in there. But I know there are tests out there like the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, the MMPI, the test for personality disorders, perhaps for like racist thoughts, or maybe there are other tests that can test for racist thinking. And I would like to suggest that the new police chief institute a policy of testing for that kind of thing among police officers currently employed or new candidates that are being considered. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. So our next comment comes from Jackie.
Hello, thank you.
Hi.
Hi. I've been at several of the protests that have happened downtown in Bend and a couple in Prineville as well. And what I've noticed from the Bend PD in particular is that there seems to be a sense that they must protect the counter protesters that come, those that might support Donald Trump. And in general, the Black Lives Matter folks do not get the same respect that the counter protesters do. I think that could be in large part because they don't like the way that the Black Lives Matter protesters are speaking. But I think it's very important that as white people, especially because Bend is so predominantly white, I myself am white, that we need to remind ourselves that the way that someone expresses themselves is not a reason to treat them without dignity. They deserve the same basic respect, and the officers should show that to them. When you see a stone wall of police officers who don't look at you like you're a person, that is going to continually cause problems within your community, within the trust that is being broken when they don't feel protected. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Jackie. The next person that we have to speak is Beth Hoover.
Good morning, Erica. Thank you. I'm Beth.
Good morning.
I think I want to speak to number 4, the expectations of city council involvement in policing policies. And I will start by saying Bend City Council goals need to have a clear, transparent implementation plan with measurable objectives, timelines, and benchmarks. It is woefully inadequate to set a goal unless you know where you're going with that goal. And I want to specifically raise the issue of how dangerous it can be in Bend to be a person of color. And I know this from personal experience because I have a son who was a person of color who grew up here. I think the city policies need to include a couple of very clear expectations. One is training for police officers in implicit bias and racial profiling. And I used to get the Bend Bulletin and read the arrest reports, and it was very clear that racial profiling was going on in Bend and Central Oregon in general. And the other policy expectation should be diversity in hiring. We need a police force that reflects the complexion of our community, and we are increasingly a community that includes people of color, and we need to see that in our police force. And I was disturbed by the fact that our last hiring process with the chief of police in Bend ended up with 5 male candidates who were all white. And that did not seem to raise any red flags or alarms for people in power in this city, that we're not looking for females, we're not looking for people of color. We're very happy to have a slate of candidates that just look like all the rest of us here. So those are my comments, and then I will underscore what Joette Storm said about fireworks in Bend. It is a problem that needs to be addressed by the city and by the police department in Bend and not put back on the neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Okay, our next comment comes from Diane.
Hi, first of all, I am 2 years into living here in Bend. I just want to say quickly that I agree with Beth about the police force needing to reflect our growing population, absolutely. My concern is I was in town recently and walked up to two policemen who were sitting having a coffee, asked them if they had a moment. They did. I asked them about the upcoming gathering of the Proud Boys and what were they doing to protect and make sure that everything stayed peaceful. And they both sat there and denied to me that there was going to be a gathering and that I shouldn't worry too much about the Proud Boys. And I do. I worry about everything they stand for. And then to come and find out that that situation got escalated and then there was negative and physical harm done to somebody and a woman that was choked, if that reporting was accurate, and then it was denied by the police department that that had happened, and they came out saying that they had acted as professionally as they should. And it just seems to be a total lack of transparency. How is it that I knew ahead of time that that gathering was going to happen and they didn't seem to know? I know that because I follow certain groups on social media, COBLA, Embrace Bend. I feel like I have my finger more on the pulse of what was happening in this town than they did, or they were just in denial mode and didn't want me to know the truth and didn't want me to be concerned. So again, a total lack of transparency. I really feel that if our town is changing, just like our country is changing, we need to have people in leadership that reflect that. And I would really like to see Ben PD work on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. The next person that we have to speak is Megan Condit Chadwick.
Hi, thank you so much.
Sure.
First, I want to echo the call for our Bend Police Department to treat our community members who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color with dignity and respect. I call for our police to be trained extensively in de-escalation tactics, and for the entire department, including Chief Krantz, to participate in ongoing intensive anti-racist training to begin to
Megan,
counter. Yeah.
I just want to remind you that we have interpreters interpreting. If you could slow down for just a little bit.
Thank you, Erica.
Sure.
I call for our police to be trained extensively in de-escalation tactics, and for the entire department, including Chief Krantz, to participate in ongoing intensive anti-racist training to begin to counter the centuries-long history of racist behavior of police. There must be no more killings of our BIPOC community members at the hands of police. In terms of accountability, I am calling in to support an independent police oversight board made up of a diverse group of residents from Bend. I also request that Bend implement a model like the CAHOOTS model in Eugene, where staff such as medics, nurses, and mental health professionals are sent out to calls when appropriate. The evidence of success from this model is substantial, and it is time for a new model that is less dependent on weapons and less likely to become violent. Additionally, I assert the importance that Bend police do not cooperate with ICE. I value the lives and contributions of our undocumented community members. I also request that all cars remove the blue line affiliated with Blue Lives Matter, as the Bend Police Department has already indicated it was doing. It is vital that our community begin the process of reforming our police department so that all interactions with all community members of all races, political persuasions, and backgrounds are full of respect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Megan. Okay, we have another comment from Ron.
I'm going to try and make this my last one here. So.
It's okay. No, that's what this time is for.
I just wanted to piggyback off of one comment. First of all, I know the Proud Boys personally, actually. And the ADL and the SPLC, you can believe whatever you want. They're not, the reason why the Bend police told you that you don't have to worry about them is because you don't. They were busy up north, right? You know, Salem, the Columbia River PB, the PDX PB. They're up north and they're not, you know, they mentioned Luke Richter. and they're like, no, it's no big deal, you know, Central Oregon, whatever. They're more concentrated on heavy, you know, Antifa presence. And so anyways, you know, it sounds like too many folk may be listening to CNN here or something, but these people aren't not at all what they're made out to be falsely. And so, yeah, they never came to Central Oregon for the last Trump rally. They, like, I even talked to them about it, and they said, no, it's no big deal. They're going to stay in the Salem, Portland area because of they were over there for like rallies and flag waving events and things like that, and for Back to Blue and you know, those types of events. So they're not really concentrated on Central Oregon right now, only because it's not, you know, they're trying to create this equilibrium there, you know, with Antifa. We don't have a lot of people burning down buildings here in Central Oregon like they are up north. So I think that's why they're probably not too interested in this area. But I just wanted to say that, let everybody know that they're not these evil, you know, racist, white supremacists that they're made out to be. It's pretty bad that in a society today that anybody can just be falsely labeled like that, and everybody just takes the bait. It's horrible. I've been called out myself to my face. It's pretty bad. It's horrible experience. You know, I'm from Fresno, California. I grew up in predominantly Latino neighborhoods, and I've had, you know, a mix of friends my whole life. I don't have a racist bone in my body. And so anyways, I just wanted to toss that out there and just kind of let everybody know that I have a little bit of a personal insight here when it comes to the Proud Boys and other patriotic groups. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Luke with the Central Oregon Peacekeepers. Hi, Luke.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Just since that last comment called me out by my first and last name, I just want to make sure that this meeting is talking about policing and not the fact that a known hate group that is proven to be violent, just being nice to them. I hope that this gets taken seriously about being something about the police and not people's personal feelings towards groups that they don't see are violent, but that the rest of the country sees as violent. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Okay, I will remind everyone, just as Luke said, that this is about answers to the 4 questions that are on the screen and any other concerns related to policing policies. The next comment that we have is from Moe Newbold. And I just want to remind again to slow down for our interpreters.
I just want to say to Ron that I hear you. I understand that you had a really difficult situation. I went to your website, 10barrelhatestrumpsupporters.info, and I appreciate that you went through a really tough time. However, the protesters in Portland are protesting, just to remind everybody, they're protesting because Portland police have shot and killed many unarmed BIPOC community members. That's why they're out there asking for justice. So I just wanted to remind you of that. And yeah, I don't think this conversation needs to devolve into, you know, a lot of different personal stories and which side is who on, which side is anyone on. But there is a very real threat to our most vulnerable community members, not only from our police force, but also from white supremacists. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Moe. So at this time, does anyone else have a comment? Okay. The next comment we have will be from Michael Funky. As we reset the timer.
Hi, yeah, just very quickly, yeah, I mean, you know, we all have our opinions about various organizations, et cetera, and I'm not sure that it does any good here to, you know, to engage in that kind of stuff and to call people out as this guy Ron did. I think that was totally unnecessary. I would just like to stress that, excuse me, I would just like to really stress that Bend City Council, in my opinion, really needs to take a stronger role in figuring out what to do with the with all of the comments that people have made, that Beth and that Moe and other people and Luke and other people in the community have made about their, you know, their feelings about the police department, their feelings about what the police department has done, particularly in regard to immigrants and to people of color and in our community. And I would hope that the city council, particularly if we, and I think we are going to have a new city council come January after the election. And I think that it's really on the shoulders of the Bend City Council to listen closely to what people in this community want out of their police department and to direct the city manager and the police chief to respond in kind so that we have a police department that we all feel really will live up to their slogan to protect and serve our community. And that's going to be hard work for the city council, I think. They're going to probably get some resistance from the police department. Police departments are, you know, they really like to kind of operate under their own guidelines, and they don't really like to take they don't really like to take guidance, shall we say, from elected officials. But I think it's really behooves our city council to rise up to the challenge and do what they can to create a better police department for everybody in the city of Bend. And I would say that again, just to reiterate my earlier comment, I think that really starts with having a very strong oversight board of community members, not citizens necessarily, because there are non-residents, non-citizens that also need to be represented. But I think an oversight board that has the authority to deal with complaints of the police department would be an important step forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. So the next person, let's see. Okay, we had someone with a comment, but they took their hand down. Let's see. Okay, Moe Newbold has another comment.
Sorry.
No problem.
I'm heading to the ICE training at 10, so this probably will be my last.
Okay.
I forgot to say that I also hope that all the comments that have come into City Council, either through emails to the mayor, and you know, if possible, even the emails that John Hummel has received around feedback on the police, I hope that these will be included in this process, because, you know, people having access and figuring out the process for participating in our local government is hard enough. And I feel like people have went through the right channels where they spoke at City Council or they sent emails to City Council. And I don't think those should be dismissed just because now there's this process where we each get 3 minutes on a Saturday morning. So yeah, I just would hope that all the feedback that's come into the mayor and John Hummel and the other city councilors, and even to Chief Krantz potentially, should also be included in this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Moe. Do we have anyone else that has a comment? Okay, Darcy.
Hi again. This is
Hi.
really, this will be really brief. The other comment that I wanted to add was that along the lines, I forget, somebody else made a comment about observing the police at protests, having a bit of a us versus them mentality, and maybe feeling more personally committed to protecting white nationalist counter protesters instead of Black Lives Matter demonstrators. And I realize that's a judgment call that may not be based in fact, but I suspect it may be for many officers. And I want to voice support for all leadership in the Bend Police Department to be committed to equality and being non-defensive and non-emotional in their own work and commitment to policies. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy. Okay, we have another comment from Joette Storm.
Hello again. After listening to my neighbors speak today, I remember that someone said that the term police is often very emotional elating, and that maybe we should recharacterize the department as public safety and then incorporate the principles of community policing that the gentleman spoke about earlier, where we would include mental health professionals and other kinds of counselors, mediators. There is, in fact, a community mediation organization right here in town that could help with this model. And that's really what we're talking about, is public safety. So I would hope that the department and the city council will consider that option as a way of redefining what the police do. And I do have respect. I think being a cop is a tough job. I appreciate anyone who wants to take that responsibility on in helping our community remain safe. And I believe that the residents will support them in the mission of public safety. Thanks for doing this today.
Thank you, Joette. Okay, our next comment comes from Diane.
Hi, so did the timer restart? I don't think so. There we go. Thank you so much. I just want to circle back to the concept of mental health and policing. A couple months ago, I had another conversation with a police officer talking about my feelings about the horrible marketing term defund the police, and how that's such a negative situation, but that it was more my goal to see the police restructured, like somebody else mentioned earlier. And what they told me is that they do send out an EMT and an LCSW, licensed clinical social worker, on as many calls as possible so that situations do not get escalated, that they don't always warrant using a gun to de-escalate a situation. And I was very happy to hear that. And I can't remember, I think it's Camden, New Jersey that started that. It's one of the first cities in the country that adopted that kind of policing. And if it's true that they are doing that here in Bend, and I can't imagine he would lie to me, or at least I hope not, then I want to applaud that, because that's really a positive direction that we should be going in. So I hope that that is true. I really do believe that it's not about defunding. It is just about restructuring the responsibilities of policing. Thank you.
Thank you. So right now, I just want to remind everyone that there are counselors watching and listening to what's going on today. Either they're here in this event or listening on YouTube. And we will be here through noon. So that's what we advertise. But I want to make sure that people that can comment and want to comment, feel free to do so. So please just raise your hand if you have a comment and I will call on you. Okay, I do have someone with a hand up. The next person we will hear from is Foster Fail.
Hello, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm really inspired by all these wonderful comments, especially the call for a civilian review board. It should be independent and have teeth. I'm inspired by Caleb's reference to the program in Eugene. That sounds wonderful, something we should probably try to emulate. I just want to touch on two things. One of them is we need a clarification of the relationship between local law enforcement and federal law enforcement, especially the ICE situation that when protesters by the hundreds detained the buses. I think the protesters had a valid negotiating point. I think the Bend police, instead of disappearing when the federal agents arrived, they should have stayed and tried to negotiate a way out of the impasse. Also, I'm concerned about a possible constitutional crisis within the next few weeks. What will be the Bend Police Department's role if Attorney General William Barr deputizes them? Will then our local police department be used against us and used against the Constitution? And one more thing regarding the Pilot Butte Park protest, I did read Chief Krantz's report. I was a little disappointed. I realized that the Bend Police Department had never been exposed to that type of situation before, and that Chief Krantz is new to the community. But it seemed as though in his report, he only gave just passing reference to the gunman, and yet devoted an entire paragraph to the people who were so outraged about the gunman that they decided to commit civil disobedience and block his squad cars. He seemed more incensed about that than about the appearance of the gunman. So I know we're going through a transition and we're all learning, but I think these are some points that need to be taken into account. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to comment? Okay, Carl.
Yeah, the thing about defunding the police is not about taking police officers off the street. It's about reallocating funds to like mental health professionals and nurses too, I guess, but instead of like escalating to gunfire when it's not necessary, especially since there are so many more African American people, especially persons of color, in Bend than there were when I was a kid. So we don't want another incident as has happened in too many other cities in the United States. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Okay. So it appears that we may be coming to a close as our number of attendees is going down and we have fewer comments. But I just want to reiterate to everyone that the comments that have been recorded here today will be provided to city leaders in a report in December. This video is also on YouTube, and oh, we do have someone else with another comment. Well, they went away. Let's see. I want to make sure that we give everyone ample opportunity to give a comment here. Here we go. Nicholas Chan. We have another from Foster Fail. And Nicholas, I just want to say, if you raise your hand, leave it raised and I will call on you. Right now, we will go to Foster Fail.
Oh, yeah, I just noted that my thoughts were not transcribed accurately.
Okay.
My last comment, and I'm sorry if I did this in a confused way. I was concerned about Chief Krantz's seeming disproportionate concern about the nonviolent protesters blocking his cars than about the appearance of the gunman. And he seemed to reflect that in his report. And I didn't see that quite accurately represented in the transcription. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Beth Hoover has a comment.
Yeah, thank you again, Erica, for the opportunity to speak out on these issues for Ben, because this is really important to our community. I'm going to address the community policing, question number 2 at this point. And community policing has been around for a long time. I remember working on it when I worked for the city of Portland in the 70s. So there are some simple things that Ben can do to make community policing more real here. We need our police officers to live in the community and not be living outside of the area where they're policing. We need our police officers to be getting out of their cars and walking in our community, interacting with residents, interacting with business owners. We need them to be attending regular neighborhood meetings, and not just the big general meetings, but monthly board meetings. And again, I will stress that we need a police force that reflects our community in terms of our composition. So we need a more diverse police force. And I think community policing is really important if you want to increase trust between citizens and the police. Community policing is an effective way to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Do we have any other comments? Okay, well, we are here just in case other attendees come in to leave a comment with us. We really appreciate the fantastic input from our community, and we want to express gratitude for everyone who took the time to show up and comment. This isn't the end of community input. It is an ongoing effort at the city, so there will be other opportunities outside of this one to be able to provide input as well. We have a comment from Matt.
Hi, Erica. Thank you.
Hi, Matt.
So my comment is in regards to the fireworks discussion earlier and an answer to question 2 of what does policing look like in this town. I think that it's kind of a hypocritical position to take to say we want the police to be nicer and use less violence, but then also for the neighborhoods to say we want the police to come in and crack down on people using fireworks. So I kind of feel like a better way to do this would be to get the police involved in creating safe spaces in neighborhoods where fireworks can be discharged safely. You could also involve the fire department with that.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all I had.
All right, great. Thank you so much for sharing, Matt. On behalf of the City of Bend, we would like to thank you for participating in the listening session today related to policing policies. This session has ended, but be sure to watch bendoregon.gov/community-input for final summaries and next steps in the future. Thank you so much for your participation today.